Eyes are on Texas as we continue our special runoff election coverage. Let's turn now to the race for District 18, where two current members of Congress are now facing off. And we're already learning just in that the Associated Press is calling Christian Menefee in this race for the 18th congressional district. You may recall Menefee, the newcomer, compared to longtime Congressman Al Green, having represented his old district, District 9, for 20 plus years. This really was set up to be an incumbent versus incumbent showdown. Looking at the numbers, though, you can see, as I just mentioned, the Associated Press calling it 69% here the winner, and that was with 61% of precincts reporting Al Green with just 31% as well tonight.
Yeah, it's really quite something, and it's an early call. When I spoke to Al Green a couple of weeks ago, he thought for certain he was going to win. He had the experience. He said, you don't want a neophyte, which is how we refer to Christian Menefee. Not the case. Let's go to Trayson Bragg, who's live at the Menefee camp tonight. I don't hear any shouting, but there should be some soon, Trayson.
Well, I'll tell you what, we are at Poor Behavior, the site of Christian Menefee's watch party. And you mentioned shouting, Len. I'll tell you, when we first pulled up about maybe 15, 20 minutes ago, that's exactly what we were greeted by. One of his members of his team or a supporter walked outside and officially shouted and pretty much shared some of those numbers that you just mentioned, mentioning how excited they were. We walked in, we saw more of that. And I don't know if you all can hear kind of what's going on now. Loud music, DJ playing, a lot of excitement in the crowd, a lot of his supporters already here. And in fact, when I walked in, somebody essentially stood up and asked me if I had seen the numbers. So again, the excitement is real here. I'm told that Christian Menefee isn't here, the congressman isn't here quite yet. He's expected here in about another 30 minutes or so. But I did catch up with him at Wheeler Avenue Baptist Church, where we saw what appeared to be lower voter turnout than what we saw in the March primary. I asked the congressman about that. He shared similar conclusions from what he was seeing there. Now I asked him, was he concerned about that possible lack of voter turnout? He said no. He told me he was confident that he and his team had done a great job sharing their message and that message had gotten through to voters. So he said he was confident. Well, we look at the numbers, and the numbers seem to support what he's saying. Again, the party is just starting here. I bet you in a few minutes when official numbers are announced, we're probably going to hear even more excitement when they tell the crowd here. But we're going to continue to monitor the situation. We will have sound, and you will hear what Christian Menefee, Congressman, told me earlier today. We'll bring that to you later in the newscast. But again, the music is flowing. The fun and excitement is here. We're going to share more as the day goes on. Reporting live from Poor Behavior, I'm Trayson Bragg, KHOU 11 News.
This race called so early, I imagine it even caught Menefee in his camp off guard this early. That's why, hence, not that many people there just yet.
Absolutely. Yeah, it is surprising that it's been called this early. By the way, Menefee outspent Congressman Al Green about 3-1 with all the ads. So that may have played a role, but it looks like people are ready for the next generation in Congress. Let's go to Katira Winfrey with Congressman Al Green and his team. Not a good night there, Katira.
Well, I wouldn't quite say it's not a good night just yet. People here are still very much excited. We're not inside the room right now because they want to make sure that everything is peachy keen and hunky-dory with the elections in Fort Bend County. But I spoke to Congressman Al Green during the last election. He talked about running the race to the very end. So although the AP has those numbers, his team, I'm sure, is still waiting for those final results. And as you mentioned, Congressman Green has touted his experience over Menefee throughout this entire process. And even as we've been going through these elections, we've heard from officials or political science experts who talked about their approval ratings, and that both of them have been ranking quite high throughout this process. And as you mentioned, Congressman Al Green has been down this road before, up against tough competition, and that is where we find ourselves today. But with the polls just closing, them working out the situation in Fort Bend County and hopefully counting those ballots, I'm sure his team is looking forward to see what those numbers show and if they will push him above the rest. Now, again, we've talked about Congressman Green and his familiarity with the people. He's talked about Menefee being a novice or as you called it, I forgot exactly what, a neophyte, I believe, is what he might have mentioned to you during your interviews, Lynn. But as you can imagine, this is still very early, as you mentioned, very early for the AP to call those numbers. But the folks here are still waiting for those final results to come in before they get too down on themselves. But as I'm told right now, Congressman Al Green is not here yet. We're hoping in the next 15 to 20 minutes they'll open the doors and we'll be able to go in. And you can see that he has quite a bit of supporters still here for him, still rooting him on, and still waiting for those final numbers to appear. And just this past primary election, the first one before the runoff, they were really, really close at the end of it there. And so, as I mentioned, Congressman Green says you run a race till the very end. So we'll wait and see what those final numbers have to say about all of this. Back to you.
Yeah, and again, AP calling the race, Christian Menefee the winner in the newly drawn District 18. And of course, as we recall, Al Green had been in District 9. This move not proving successful for him.
He was forced into District 18 because of redistricting, and in March he lost by about 2,000 votes. So here we are.
Yes, and again, AP calling the race. Menefee will face Ronald Whitfield in November. He is the Republican candidate. He advanced in the March primary after getting 55% of the vote over Elizabeth Vences. Keep in mind, the 18th congressional district has been represented by a Democrat continuously for 54 years since its creation in 1972.
All right. So